recap of how the account did this week and some important takeaways that occurred during this week. So something I noticed during kind of the last few live streams is that, when I wait or ask people to wait till ask questions at the end, people may be asking less questions than they want to, and maybe they're forgetting questions because I'm continuing to go on during the says, which is a recap of excuse me, continue to go on with kind of what I want to teach, and then they forget their question, right? Because I'm talking about new things and they're taking notes, etc., etc. So since the chat is actually saved, so I can see everything that you guys type, no matter when you guys typed it. So I'm just gonna ask you guys to go ahead and ask any questions during the lesson, and I'll answer it whenever I get a chance to read it, and we'll go from there. But yeah, so this week was an interesting week. So it's the first week, and this is also the first time I've ever used Webull. And you can see on the right there that this week was a good week, actually. I made about 2% on the account, which is $1.82. And I'm going to go through kind of the 5 major trades that I did really quickly. And we'll talk a little bit about the takeaways and the philosophy a little bit after this. But let's just quickly run through the 5 trades and why when I entered, why I entered then, and then we'll go through the key takeaways and some of the philosophies that you should take away from this week. So the first thing I did, I traded every day, and I also traded with 100% of my account every trade. Obviously I talked about this last time. I do not recommend that. If $100 for you is a big part of your net worth, so, or if it takes a long time for you to save up for $100. But for me, I'm just having fun with this trading account, and I can always reload if I accidentally blow up this account. And if you trade recklessly, like putting 100% of your portfolio into each trade, that is reckless, right? So just keep that in mind. I'm comfortable blowing this account up, and that's why I'm trading it this way. But I'm also still sticking to very, very strict risk management. So if it hits my 2% stop loss, I immediately exit. And really, it's only the reason you don't put 100% of your portfolio is the what if, or the really, really unexpected thing happens. For example, which I'll talk about later, the CEO of a company tweeting about how the company is overvalued, Elon Musk and Tesla. We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so the first trade I made was CNX. You can see the timing that I entered the trade and exited the trade. Entered at 10:12 on Monday, and I exited the next day at 9:38. And funny enough, if you look on the right, you see that I lost $3.40, basically $3.50. And that's a 3.5% loss, right? And so I always say 2% risk management. The reason I lost that much was this was the first time I used Webull. So this is why you should always paper trade first. I couldn't find the button to sell my shares, funny enough. So I accidentally lost a little bit more than I intended to. Papa Musk self-destruct. Yeah, I know, buck die trade. That was pretty crazy. And welcome Cyrus as well. And so the reason, it was actually a winning trade originally. Let me pull this up real quick. This is CNX on Monday. So CNX Monday, so that was here. So I entered the trade around this part. It's a pretty clear two-legged movement. I mean, hopefully this doesn't require a lot of explaining. I was looking at it. It had earnings, positive earnings, right? Oh, wait, there wasn't positive earnings, but wait, I thought it was estimate actual. I forgot. I had thought this was positive earnings. I don't know why it's changed here, but I remember seeing positive earnings for this, so I saw the uptrend here. I talked about this in my episode 2, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. It went up, and then actually you guys didn't see this. Obviously, during the day of, it was a 6% gainer, right? But the next day, look what happened. If I had exited right when the market opened, I would have still been a winner, albeit a very, very small winner, because I went in at 12.17 and it opened at 12.25. But look how fast it dropped, right? So just how crazy the market can be. And so I couldn't find the sell button. It continued to drop, and then it became a bigger loser than I would have hoped. But it's fine. I mean, that happens, and that's why you should paper trade first. So we'll go through that. The reason why it dropped so much is because overnight they announced that they were going to have a $300 million convertible senior note, essentially a debt that can actually become equity. or shares, stocks. So if there's more stocks, that means there's more supply, and that means the price will go down. And so that was not good for my shares. I saw that news. I should have exited the second the market opened, but I couldn't find the darn sell button. So that was my own fault. The second trade I made was Harley Davidson against, again, another earnings play. And this was on Tuesday. Let's go to Hog here. And you can see I'm looking at Tesla, which is funny. Tuesday, here we go. I entered at 954. 954. This doesn't seem right. 954 Hog. Harley Davidson. 954. Where are you? 954. Oh, here you go. So there's an uptrend here. It was a really weak confirmation. I shouldn't have entered this trade, actually, now that I looked at this chart again. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. This isn't really a confirmation, right? This is a sideways trend. So it didn't really go up again. And so look what happened after. So I entered the trade at 954, and it kicked me out at 10, or I didn't kick me out, but I exited it myself at 10:01 right here. So I saw it going down. I exited the trade. You can see my stop loss line right here. Actually, it's still funny. I keep my lines. I mean, there's no reason to delete them. And so I lost money there. Next one is RLGY. Shout out to my brother Austin again. He thought, hey, Curtis, you're making this two-legged movement. Why not apply it to the top movers of the day? And so that's what I did. I actually, actually my brother called this out. I got kicked out of the Harley Davidson trade at 10 something. I entered this next trade at 11. And so you see this uptrend here, strong uptrend, waiting for kind of a pullback. Here's a pullback. And so we saw a confirmation candle here. And then 10:09, I entered the trade right here about this point. So this is actually an uptrend, right? So I waited for a confirmation candle and then an actual confirmation going upwards. And so then we entered, and it was a great winner. Held it overnight, and you could see that after overnight it actually continued to go up, and it actually turned out to be a really good winner. I think I made like 12% on that trade. 11% on that trade. It's all on the right. So that was a really good one. And so you're like, okay, well, this is a top mover. How much did I know about this company before I entered the trade? Actually, nothing. The only thing I know it was on Robinhood's top mover, and I saw a two-legged movement. And this is going back to what we talked about in the last lesson, which is indirect fundamental analysis through technical analysis, right? You don't have to know everything. The market is telling you something, and there are very smart people trading the market. And it's moving upwards, and usually there's a reason for it to move upwards. Now, where you want to be careful is you make sure you do a little bit of research because there's a lot of pump and dumps, right? And so if it's low volume or if it's low market cap, then it can be very easily manipulated. We'll talk about market cap in my long-term investment video that I plan to do next week and kind of during the week. But so if we take a look at a analyze tab here and look at kind of the fundamentals, if you look at analyze fundamentals, you can see this is 450 million. So we're good on the market cap. It's not a small company. Anything over 300 million is a pretty good size. And then if you look at the volume on a daily basis, every day it's about over 1 million. So if it's over 300,000 a day already, let's just make it easy for people to remember, 300,000 a daily volume and 300 market cap, then you're in a pretty good spot. And it's pretty hard to manipulate a stock like that. So it was a great trade. It made me 11%. And so let's move on to the next one. All right, AMC. Again, another mistake. So the first one is I made a mistake because I couldn't find the sell button. The second one, I made a mistake. I bought the wrong stock. I was on Webull, and my friend was telling me about AMC. It was about $5.13, as you can see here. And this stock that I actually wanted to buy was $5. And actually, when I wanted to enter, was $5.20. So if I entered at the right price at the right time, it would have been probably a winner. But funny enough, I bought the wrong stock because it's kind of similarly priced. I wasn't looking at the ticker when I bought it. And then I remember seeing on my phone a notification that I got my stop loss hit. And I was like, what? How's that possible? Because I bought at 530. 507 was very, very far from kind of where I wanted to get kicked out. And then I realized I got kicked out a few minutes later because I bought the wrong stock. So another reason why it is important to paper trade. I am a human. I make mistakes. This was my first time using Webull. And trust me, I've learned a lot this week. So cool thing is now I know that one, a lot better familiarity with Webull, and number two, that you can use the two-legged movement on top movers as well, not just earnings plays. So blah, 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 but you just easily went back down. So hit my stop loss and then came back up. So another thing I want to talk about is, don't let these things where it's hitting your stop loss and then the stock comes back up hurt you mentally. Remember, if it touches your stop loss, get out of the trade. Don't think about what happens afterwards. It came back up, but that doesn't matter to you. Move on, right? Because it's going to develop bad trading habits just as easily as it could have come up, which it did. It could just as easily go down, and you could have made a huge loss. I mean, think about this. I exited just a little bit late for CNX, and instead of a 2% loss, I made a 3.5% loss. That's almost twice the loss I wanted to have. So keep that in mind. So gas log, another unfortunate failure of a trade. So I entered on Wednesday. And so how many exits was this? Okay, so number one, this is 1 day trade. This is a day trade, and then what was it? This was a day trade, right? 2028. So 3 day trades. I'm just gonna highlight this sold here. 3 day trades by Wednesday at 10:30. Okay, just keep that in mind. So I actually made a mistake here. So I should have had one more day trade to use, and so I really didn't trade Thursday or Friday, and I still made 2%. Another crazy thing to take away from this is I traded 5 times. 4 of them were bad trades. And I still made money this week, right? So I'm excited to see how I do next week, but just keep that in mind. This is why it's so important to manage your risk, because if you manage your risk, then you don't need a large amount of winners to break even or even make money. And that goes back to the example. If you keep your win to loss ratio or return to risk ratio above 3, if you have 7 bad trades and you have 3 good trades, you still make 2% that week. So just keep that in mind. So let's quickly go through this. I bought this at 10:30 on Thursday. Glog, right? Glog. Thursday, 5 minutes. Here we go. Here are my lines. Thursday, right? 29. I bought this. You can see the upward trend here. 10:03. 10:03. Wait, 10:03. Let's see here. Oh yeah. So yep. So here's a confirmation candle. I entered on the next candle. Unfortunately, it literally went down the next second. So, but look at this. If I had held instead of exited at my mental stop loss, it jumped a ton more back down. So just know that as much as it can come back up, it can easily go down instead. So keep that in mind. One thing I want to talk about, which I was alluring to earlier in the video, is that something crazy happened this week, and that is Tesla and Elon Musk's tweet. If you didn't see, let me bring that up to here. Elon Musk tweeted that he thought the stock price of Tesla was too high, and that shot the stock price down. Where was it? Right here. Tesla stock price is too high in my opinion. Now, is he going to get in trouble with the SEC? Who knows? But you can see what happened to the Tesla stock today. It was crazy. It happened at 11:10. I actually made money on this trade. And this is another strategy that we'll touch on a little bit later, which was the breaking news one that I've talked about before. I didn't trade my $100 account, but I traded in my main account with a put option. Remember that it's I think Webull actually lets you short, but I'm an options trader primarily. So in my main account, I actually traded with a put option and actually made a good amount. I turned $400. I could have exited for about a 400% gain. I'm actually still holding on to that position because I just want to hold it and see what happens. And it reminds me to keep track of Tesla. But right now, even after the day's end, which it came back up, right? It went all the way down here, and it came back to about 708. It's still a 200% winner, so I'm still up $800 on that trade. And so I just wanted to mention that, and we'll talk about kind of the strategies I've taught so far, and then we'll touch upon things about what we're going to teach in the future. But next Saturday, I'm already planning on moving to options trading. I know we're moving very quickly, but I want to keep going along, and I think options is really the more exciting thing. That's what I'm truly passionate about. As much as I enjoy stock trading, I'm really excited to teach you guys about options and kind of what crazy things you can do, like make 200 to 400% on breaking news, which is hard to do on stocks. All right, so remember, I used all 3 day trades, so now I cannot trade on my account until I have another day trade, which is when I made my first one on Tuesday. So I can't trade again until next Tuesday, but then from there I'll have another day trade and I can start trading again. Do not trade 4 times in a 5-day window. If you do, your account will be marked for pattern day trading for 90 days, and that means you're not allowed to trade for 90 days. Okay, not just not day trade. Your broker will not allow you to trade. So do not make 4-day trades within a 5-day window. Do not do it. Okay, so a few key takeaways from this is, number one, let's talk about the strategies we've talked about so far. So this is just really just scratching the surface. Remember, I just started this YouTube channel last week, and so there's still a lot more to teach, and I'm really excited to do so. But for right now, number one is game theory and my application for trading breaking news, which is essentially when there are breaking news, you have to think through all the scenarios, right? If the news is fake or it's wrong, guess what happens to the stock? Basically nothing, right? The information is kind of worthless. But if it is true and it has a material impact on the company, then it's going to move significantly. And so you don't have a lot of risk, because if it's wrong, nothing really happens. But if you're right, you can make a lot of money. So that's a great way. Breaking news doesn't really usually happen this often. It feels like just in this market environment, it's been happening like every week. Last week, Facebook with Zoom news, and now this week with Elon Musk just deciding to tweet out that he thinks Tesla is overpriced. But we'll see. I mean, these are really just cherries on top. You shouldn't rely on these to be your main trading strategy because you can't predict them. But they're always nice to get when they happen. Now, number two is riding trends. And now we just learned that not only does this work for earnings, but this also can apply to top movers. As long as you analyze using the ThinkorSwim platform that the company you're trading is above 300 million in market cap, so it's not easily manipulated, and that the daily volume is over 300,000, again, so it's not easily manipulated. Otherwise, you can go into a pump and dump situation like what happened to UAVS. Look at this thing. If you got in at the wrong time, you could have lost a lot of money. So just be very, very careful. What I noticed when I was trading this week is that I didn't always write my trading plan beforehand. In my head, I knew where I wanted to enter, where I wanted to exit. But after I took the trade, because I just had to enter the trade to know my entry price, that is when I actually put together my written trading plan for that trade. And so I just want to be very transparent with you guys, and so you guys can learn from how I do it. I usually enter a trade knowing a trading plan in my head, but writing it down in Excel afterwards. And then I know where I put my stop loss. I usually put a little line, mental stop loss. And then I always have a trading plan afterwards and written down. Again, I'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow during my new lesson that's coming out. Where to set an actual stop loss and where to use a mental stop loss, and why I don't use my actual stop loss at the kind of 2% mark. Okay. But that'll be talked about tomorrow. Now, this week was a great example, of how powerful managing your risk is. I made 5 trades and 4 of them were losers, okay? But I still made money this week. The crazy part is I put 100% of my account into every trade, and I was very comfortable doing this because although I don't recommend this, you can afford to, you can lose 100% of your account very easily if something like, the CEO decides to tweet that the stock is overpriced, right? These things can happen. Nobody can predict them. So you got to be very careful. But if you're comfortable, depending on your risk appetite, you can trade as long as you mentally know that you're going to stop at 2%. And also if you feel comfortable that you can reload your account afterwards. Wrong stock. Should I really be learning from you? LOL. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bhakta Shade. I am human, and I said I am not a guru, okay? I am just as human as you guys, and I make a lot of mistakes. I am learning as well, but I'm going to teach you guys to the best of my ability. So I just want to share my blessings that I've gotten from trading, which have been insane, and I hope you guys get a little bit of value from it too. So, here we go. I set a real stop loss order, usually around 10% below my actual trade entry, instead of 2%, just in case the craziness happens and I have no control and it just starts shooting down and I don't get out in time by myself, or I'm not paying attention to it. But I have a mental stop loss at the 2% price point. And the reason I do this is because I don't want the market maker to know I have a stop loss there. It's very maybe a tinfoil hat like conspiracy theory, but I just don't, just in case it's true that market makers actually will manipulate the price, because they do have a decent amount of control over, minute to minute price, not obviously, the long-term price. I don't want them to push me out of a position just because they see I have a stop loss order at a certain place. Now, another thing is philosophy and psychology that I learned, and I want to share this from this week is number one, trade with other people. It was actually my brother, who has a lot less trading experience than I do, that kind of suggested that maybe we can use top movers as for the two-legged move strategy. One small popcorn is more expensive than one share of AMC. Yep. I know, it's kind of crazy, which is beautiful, because if your account is small, you can trade AMC. So that's kind of nice. And so when you trade with other people, they will notice things that you don't and think of new ideas, which is really cool. And you're human, you will miss things, and so it's always nice to bounce ideas off of people and also hear other people's ideas that you didn't even think of. Another number two is be happy to break even. I'm happy with 2%, and I didn't even trade all week. Maybe I could have made more money, but I could also easily have lost more money. So be happy to break even. The most important thing about trading is not to make money. The most important thing in trading is to not lose money, because opportunities like Tesla and things like crazy things happen, and really you just have to stay in the game and you'll have opportunities to make money. The market will always be there. There's always going to be crazy trends that you can ride, and so just remember risk management over everything. All right. That is everything for today. I'll stay on for another few minutes if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, I wish you guys the best of luck trading next week. I hope to see you guys at tomorrow's lesson, where we'll just cover candlestick charts further and more in depth, talk about support and resistance and the psychology of that, and then also talk about my ThinkorSwim setup, as well as my daily setup, what tabs I have open, and how do I keep track of all the news while I trade. So with that, let me know if you guys have any questions, and if I don't see you guys tomorrow, may volatility be ever in your favor during your trading next week. What do you recommend someone who can't trade in the opening and closing hours of the stock market do to work? Well, if that's the case, you don't have to trade during the opening and closing hours. There are things that happen all during the day. I mean, for example, the Tesla trade was during 11 o'clock, right? And so you can see, as long as you're keeping track of the market loosely, there's going to be opportunities to trade. I mean, even if you look at here, well, UAVS don't trade this. So, but let's just do a random one for now. CNX, there are opportunities to make money even during the day. Now, obviously, this one fell back down. Let's say you entered here, then you could have maybe made money on this uptrend. So I don't have a clear example right now, but just know that, like I said, the most important thing is staying alive. Why? Because you're always going to have opportunities to make money in the marketplace. There's just it moves constantly from not even just 9:30 to 4, but even after markets, right? So as long as you're paying attention to the news, as long as you're paying attention to maybe a few stock tickers that has earnings maybe during the middle of the day, because not everything has earnings before or after, right? Some of them have calls during the middle of the day. So as long as you know where certain fundamental events are occurring, like earnings or news, then you can trade during the middle of the day as well. Options is where the money is. Fuck that shade. I do not disagree with you. So I'm very excited to start teaching you guys about that next week. And that's why I'm moving so fast, honestly. I can cover the basics forever, right? There's so much to talk about in stocks. But obviously I'm making this channel for my friends and my viewers. And I want to go on to the interesting stuff as soon as possible. And so I'm going to start teaching about options, and hopefully I can just kind of throw in lessons here and there, maybe during the middle of the week or in the future, that help you guys continue to be better traders. Any other questions? Hopefully I answered your question, Cyrus. Cryus. Also stay hydrated, guys. Especially now. Alrighty. Well, I'll take that as no more questions. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to just tune in to tomorrow's live stream and I can answer them there. Thank you guys for watching.